Seth Green talks about his high-tech role in the new action flick, The Italian Job. Plus, the founder of 321 Studios talks about his court battle over DVDs. And never get lost again with Pat's roundup of inexpensive GPS. Live from the Tech TV studios in San Francisco, it's the Screensavers!
Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm a hip and swiveling Leo Laporte.
Disco Dude.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on the Screensavers. I am one wild and crazy guy. We're going to show you cool stuff. What do you know?
Remember that show Dance Fever?
Yeah, Denny Terrio.
That
was
come
me.
out. They learn a new dance step every week. It's all coming together.
That's where I learned everything I know today.
This is where we answer text toughest questions, and today we have an outstanding show lined up.
We do. We have a really good show, but before we do that, let's bring it right down to earth. Basically, crash land with today's top technology-related stories today. You know, there's one we didn't get in here.
As selected by you and I, not necessarily.
But we left out the biggest one, which is the fact that Novell, the folks who sold the Unix license to SCO, announced today, hey, we didn't sell them the rights to Unix System 5. They have no grounds to sue IBM. Whoops. We didn't sell it to them. Ha ha! So that whole SCO license lawsuit against IBM, that billion-dollar lawsuit, is probably going to be just completely worthless. In fact, it puts the whole SCO strategy into some question. Apparently, they did not have the rights they were asserting to Unix.
Oops.
Anyway, I thought I'd throw that in. It wasn't a scheduled story, but I think it's a big deal. Novell, who sold them the Unix rights, or sold them whatever they got, said we didn't sell them.
Unix,
yeah, we didn't sell them System 5's intellectual property. They can't sue over that. Meanwhile, we were talking about PlayStation 2s yesterday. The folks in Urbana, Illinois, who'd taken 70 PlayStations and turned it into a supercomputer. They should have waited. They're like me.
Well,
they should have waited.
Sony's PS2 has a successor. And
there's a new PS2.
It's not the PS3. That's not coming out until like 2005, but this is the PSX. They're getting that whole X game action.
What is all this X? Xbox, X Play, X...
It's X-hip, very X-late.
X is the new black.
Exactly.
Oh, I got it. All right.
Pink is the new red. Anyhow, the device, they claim, and this is a great line, creates a new entertainment device category. The PSX will offer a DVD recorder.
Well, listen, it's more than a gaming machine.
A DVD recorder. 20-gigabyte hard drive, a TV tuner, an Ethernet port, a USB 2.0 port.
Wait a minute. It's Sony. They're doing USB 2.0?
That's weird. I thought they do 1394, which Sony calls iLink, plus a memory stick slot.
Well, at least they got one proprietary thing in there.
Well, it's a Sony proprietary thing.
But a 120 gig hard drive sounds like it might have PVR capabilities. You don't put such a big hard drive in something just for gaming.
No, I would not think so.
And DVD
Unless
recorder?
They plan to actually cache the games onto the hard drive to make them load faster.
But still 120? I mean, that's how big.
A lot of hard drive space.
Huge. How much will it be? They decided that price yet?
They haven't said. It's going to go on sale in Japan just before Christmas and in the U.S. after that.
It makes me mad. They sell everything in Japan first. Like we don't deserve it. Apple has a couple
Angry.
I'm mad today. A couple of updates in the news, operating system updates. First of all, Apple, they snuck one in under the radar.
This should be annoying you.
I came home and my daughter's on the computer. She says, "Hey, Dad, there's a new iTunes update. You want me to download it?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead." And then I looked, and you know what the whole point of the update was?
To take away the file sharing?
Yes! They disabled it because people had discovered, and Apple said, we're very disappointed. People have discovered that they could share their iTunes not only with their friends and their local network.
Disappointed that people used features that were in the product?
Yeah, they were disappointed that people were sharing tunes over the internet.
I thought Apple was the company of freedom and joy.
Well, not in this case. They were disappointed that I thought that's funny that they used that word. Anyway, upgraded 4.01 will turn it off. They were
bad Apple user.
Bad Apple user.
Used a feature we didn't tell you about.
That's right.
In a way, we didn't think you could use it.
That's right.
Which really ticked off the record companies whose revenues we need to make this profit.
Well, we can't just tar Apple because we're going to tell Microsoft now because they shipped an update on Tuesday to Windows XP
even sadder.
that knocked like 60,000 people offline.
No. 6
Oh, I left off a 0.
100,000 people.
So if you install this Windows update, which we always tell you to do,
Right.
no more internet access for a lot of people.
Oops.
So they've pulled off the update.
They pulled off the update, and they basically say if you loaded an update, you could no longer connect to the net.
Uninstall.
Uninstall it.
Yeah. Now this, though, it raises a big issue because, Microsoft's pushing for these automated updates.
Sure.
They don't want you to have to say yes.
And it's not just Microsoft. A lot of people, every time there's some virus that deals with, say, an Apache, not an Apache server, but a Linux system or something, people are like, there should be automated security updates.
Absolutely, because
Well,
people
what
don't
happens
apply
when they
them.
break stuff? It's not unusual.
Another issue entirely. Replay TV has made some big announcements. In fact, you just have a couple of days, because June 1st, Replay is going to up the price.
This is Replay TV.
Replay TV, they were
competitor to
purchased, the TiVo competitor, they were purchased by Denon and Marantz, D&M, and immediately D&M has already started doing something. They're adding features, finally a season pass. They're going to have the ability for you to pause a program in the living room, go to the bedroom and finish it off on your other replay.
Fascinating.
Lots of nice new features. However, they are going to
They
raise...
aren't out yet. They are expected.
They're expected, but they're going to raise the price June 1st. It's going to be TiVo-style prices, $12.95 a month or $300 lifetime fee. That's about $3 more a month. So they are telling you now, if you're an existing customer, you'll be locked in. So I guess they're saying buy a replay if you've been thinking about it anyway. Before June 1st, everybody who activates before June 1st will maintain forever, they say.
Forever.
That's
a long time.
It's a very long time. But the $9.95 price. Well, you know what? I commend Denon and Marantz for immediately coming in instead of saying, replay, we don't know if it's going to be viable, whatever. They said, we're going to make this work. We're going to put more features in it. We're going to have a viable product. So everybody who's a replay user is going to be relieved about that. That's the end of the news. Let's move on to Cincinnati, Ohio.
How you doing, Glenn?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. Any relation to John Glenn, the former senior senator from Ohio?
I wish, no.
Oh, okay, all right. What can we do for you, Glenn?
I just have a question. I've been watching the show, of course, the last couple of weeks, and I know you guys have been doing a lot of, taking a lot of questions and showing a lot of how to extract video from the TiVos.
Yes.
I just got last month from my cable company a PVR box.
Ah.
And I would like to, of course, extract the video and back it up and save it to DVDs. And
absolutely.
But I have it's a Scientific Atlanta box. It's an Explorer 8000.
I see you're a fan of The Godfather.
Yes.
Let me put it in terms you can understand, Glenn.
This is not something you can do with my box. How dare you suggest?
The whole idea is they don't want you to do it. The reason you can do it on TiVo is because somebody's gone out there and hacked it. Now, TiVo is a Linux box. And so it turns out, once you get inside, if you know anything about Linux, it's not such a big deal to figure out how to make that happen.
Right.
I don't know what Scientific Atlanta is using. They may well be using Linux.
I tried to put it in a computer and boot it with a Knoppix CD.
Yeah, and what happened?
It did not
didn't
even
see
list the hard drive.
Yeah.
It's probably some other operating system. You got to find, either do it yourself or find somebody who's hacked that thing. And because it's a smaller market, it seems less likely that you're going to find somebody like that.
It's a smaller market and a much, much lower profile.
Gotcha.
I caught her! Anyway, so
I would say that you are out of luck, my friend.
However, do a
thank you.
Google search on the model or on
yeah, there
Scientific
may be,
American.
you never know.
Somebody may have done it.
Scientific Atlanta.
Scientific Atlanta, excuse me.
Yeah, there may have been somebody that did it, but that's the issue, Glenn, and that's
hold
why
your breath, though.
TiVo of all of them is the most hacked at this point.
Yeah. Or you could, wait till tomorrow and pick up Snapstream software
Yeah.
and get a video capture card for your system.
I
and
understand.
record it directly in a DVD ready.
Now, the other thing you could always do, and this isn't exactly the same, but you could hook up a DVD recorder to it and get it. But what's happening is that digital signal on your hard drive is converted to analog, which is then recorded and converted back into digital.
Yeah.
They don't stop you from doing that. Okay, Glenn? In fact, you can do that with anything, with a VCR,
Sure.
any box, a TiVo even. But what we're talking about is digital video extraction, where you don't have that down conversion into the up conversion.
It would be nice,
It would be nice.
but unlikely.
Hey, stick around. We're going to show you how to find your way around with a GPS that will not break the bank. And after the break, my friend Patrick here. It's been all over the news. Now hear firsthand from the founder and president of 321 Studios about his current court battle over DVD rights. But first, who was that beautiful girl kept wandering through the set?
Corbin.
Corbin, with a tip.
Freaking Corbin. You're always getting in the
Always
way.
getting in
you
there.
probably have tons of MP3s that you think that should be converted to AAC. So if you want to do that, you want to go ahead and click on Advanced and go down to Convert Selection to AAC. But my suggestion is don't. It's a lossy compression, so it'll end up sounding even worse. For the best audio results, either re-encode it from scratch or just leave it alone. But please don't leave me alone. Come back after the break. More screensavers.
We're not super political here on Tech TV, but there is some politics we care a lot about, especially when it comes to the politics of copy protection and the ability to make copies of your own stuff. So we've talked a lot about one particular court case of late, the court case of the movie industry versus a little company called 321 Studios. They make a program we've shown you before called DVD X Copy, a program that copies movie DVDs. Now, that seems like something anybody should be able to do to make an archival copy of a DVD they own. Not to pirate it, but just because DVDs get scratched, and you should be able to have a copy of it. Well, Motion Picture Association of America doesn't think so. Robert Moore is here. He's the president and CEO of 321 Studios, the founder. And you've been spending some time in court of late, haven't you?
A bit.
Now, it started kind of reverse. You sued them first, right?
We did. We filed a declaratory relief action last April.
And what was the purpose of that?
The purpose of that was to defend ourselves against some allegations of violating the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
And you kind of had a feeling maybe that they were going to take you to court at some point? So was it a preemptory strike, basically?
It was a preemptory strike, but it also was our aim to get into federal court and get in front of a federal judge and prove that we weren't violating the DMCA.
Now, this program, we've shown it before, and this is, by the way, the new version, which is even easier. You just press one button. It makes a copy of any DVD. In order to do that, it has to crack the copy protection, the CSS copy protection.
Crack is such an ugly word.
Oh, let's not say crack. Disable?
No, not even disable. It
What does it
reads
do?
it just like any other DVD player
It reads it
does.
like a DVD player.
Yes, absolutely. Your television can't display a DVD movie in an encrypted format. It has to decrypt it, obviously, on the fly, and then it has to display it on your television.
So your position is really your software is doing nothing different than a DVD player does.
Not only it's our position, that's the fact. It does nothing different than a DVD player does.
What does the motion picture industry to say to that? How come they give the right to, say, a DVD player, but not to you?
Well, obviously they want control over that. They want...
because they say people are going to use this to make pirated copies. Their fear is that somebody's going to make 1,000 copies of Spider-Man and distribute it on the net, sell it on eBay.
Well, they're already doing that.
Right, with or without your software.
Exactly, that's already happening and was going on long before we introduced the software, and it will continue long after. So I don't, I mean, that's certainly an issue, and it's something that they're concerned about, but I'm not so sure that that's really the crux of what they're after.
So you went to court seeking declaratory relief. They countersued.
Actually, they didn't.
They didn't?
No, up front, they wanted it dismissed. They wanted it thrown out of court.
They went and said, throw this whole thing out.
Yeah, we were a fly buzzing around their head.
Because they didn't really, they weren't worried about you so much.
At that particular time, no.
So what happened?
It was when we introduced DVD X Copy in November of last year that they really took notice and decided about 30 days after that to file a countersuit against us.
What did their suit say?
Their suit said simply we violated the Digital Millennium Copyright Act and their strict interpretation of that law. And after they filed the countersuit, they asked for a summary judgment motion. They actually introduced one into court, and that's what the federal judge heard about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, you went to court here in San Francisco.
In San Francisco, yes.
And who's the judge?
Judge Susan Eelston is her name.
Eelston. I see it, Eelston. I never knew how to put Eelston. All right. So Judge Eelston, actually, the very first thing out of her mouth practically was, well, I've looked at the cases, and I can't see any reason that you're not. I think you are
actually,
following.
She said, I'm substantially persuaded by the Corley case, which is the 2600 case in New York, and the Elcomsoft case. Now, as we all know, Elcomsoft was acquitted of violating the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, but actually what she was referring to was prior to the actual trial, there was a motion filed by the Elcomsoft attorneys to have the whole thing dismissed on the grounds that this was based in part on fair use. And Judge White, I believe, in that particular case, dismissed those defenses and essentially allowed the trial to go on.
So she, everybody, in fact, we reported it, thought, oh my gosh, it's all over for 321 Studios. When those words came out of her mouth, it sounded like
that way,
she'd made up her mind. But by the time your day in court was done, you have a very different impression of what happened.
Yeah, as I've stated before to others that have asked me about this, on a scale of -10 to +10, I was about a -10 after that remark.
Yeah.
I felt that our demise was forthcoming, and probably that day. However, by the end of the hearing, I was certainly back to neutral and probably on the plus side.
What changed your mind?
Well, I think, first of all, our legal counsel, Kecker and Van Nest, and specifically Daryl Enduri, our lead counsel, just did an excellent job espousing the facts as we saw them, and I think that she encouraged me and other people in the courtroom to not only interpret the DMCA properly, but to do so in contrast to 100 years of copyright law that have existed before the DMCA.
Well, the copyright law, and you quote Section 171, which says that you have fair use. You have
Section 117, actually, of the copyright law specifically states that you have a right to make a backup archival copy of your software. I'm a software engineer, and I can tell you quite emphatically that I believe a DVD is a piece of software. But it's really kind of beyond that. I shouldn't say beyond that. We're not to that step yet.
You actually are just asserting we're not doing anything different from a DVD player.
That's exactly right. And that as an owner of a DVD, when you go in to buy the DVD, you have a right to access the content.
But
it's implied.
That's interesting. So by buying the DVD, I have this. Movie studios are giving me an implied right to do what I want, to watch it. Yes?
Certainly an implied right to access it.
To access it. All right, that's the word you'd like to use.
Right, an implied right to access it.
Copying it is part of that right.
Copying it is not something that we're even getting to yet, okay? If we get to trial, if we get past the summary judgment, then we'll start to be able to address some of the fair use doctrines that we believe are inherent in Section 117 that I talked about. We're just trying to get past the access issue. When you buy a DVD, do you have the right to access that DVD? That's what it boils down to.
Right.
If you own that DVD, is it yours, or have you just borrowed it?
Right. And there is no license agreement. They put no EULA in there.
There is no end-user license
agreement. We're just renting you this or whatever.
Exactly.
Now, there's so many people who have been so careful to avoid becoming the DMCA test case. People are terrified it has what they call a chilling effect on the entire community because nobody wants to be the one that goes to the Supreme Court over this. You've just serendipitously fallen into this. Do you mind this role?
Yikes.
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 Do you mind? It's a little scary.
This all has been a big accident, basically.
Are you in it for the long run?
We have to be now.
Have you been getting support from people like EFF and others?
Yes, actually, the Electronic Frontier Foundation filed an amicus brief on our behalf. They were there present in the courtroom 2 weeks ago. We've gotten tons of support from our customers. I mean, we receive emails and letters and faxes every single day in support of what we're doing, fighting for fair use rights on the part of the consumer. And I think that's what's really kept us going. That's been the fuel that's been driving us forward.
You know people probably do use this for piracy.
I actually don't at this point. I mean, we published a reward some months ago, and it was internationally publicized. You know, $10,000 anti-piracy reward. Anybody using this product or any of our DVD copying products for infringement purposes, and
nobody came forward.
Oh, a lot of people came forward. But none of them with our software. You know, we're about all these people selling DVDs out of the back of vans at flea markets.
Right.
And
there's a lot of piracy.
There's a lot of piracy going on, but none of it was going back to our software.
And there is absolutely a legitimate use for this program.
Absolutely, and in fact, we've included anti-piracy features in here. We're trying to speak to the studios and let them know, look, we are aware of copyright control concerns.
What's the current status?
Of the case?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's in the federal judge's hands right now, and we'll see what happens.
We'll watch with interest. I hope this doesn't have to go to the Supreme Court. But you know what? To be honest with you, Robert, I kind of am glad that somebody's doing this, and I hope we get a definitive judgment out of this that will help everybody do what's the right thing.
We'll stick with the fight, Leo.
Thank you very much for doing it. We really appreciate it.
Thank
Robert
you.
Moore with DVD X Copy. Actually, that's the program 321 Studios. I always get it backwards. It's the countdown, not the count up. 321 Studios is the company. That's the product. Go to their website to learn more. We've got links on our website, as well as Patrick's review of the previous product. This we haven't seen this one. This just came in today, and believe me, we'll be reviewing this. I'll be reviewing this tonight on my personal computer. Head to thescreensavers.com to find out more. Now, you stay put because Pat wants to show you some cheap ways to stay oriented in his GPS roundup. And up next, Eric, he's calling in. Linux it doesn't recognize his motherboard. What the heck is that all about? We'll see if we can help him when the Screensavers continues. That was great. Really good. Really good. We appreciate the time. And the software. I can't wait to use it.
Be our guest and come see the show in person. If you're going to be in the San Francisco Bay Area and you'd like to join the screensavers live on the set, go to www.techtv.com/ticketline for information and to request tickets. Go there so we can see you here.
Don't forget to register for this week's Screensavers LAN party, powered by NVIDIA.
The game is EA's Battlefield 1942 Desert Combat.
Look at this. Oh, it's such a good-looking game.
That was so gross.
What? No, that was just loading up the gun. That what you thought somebody was stepping on somebody's skull?
I thought it was broken cartilage or something.
Oh, no. That's just getting ready to shoot.
Drive an Abrams, pilot an Apache gunship or an F-15, the latest military hardware to use Desert Combat, you must have the full version of Battlefield 1942.
It's so cold to shoot a guy with a tank. Don't you think that's cold? You get it?
I'd call it effective. Perhaps a waste of ordnance.
Joshua said he
but
didn't
effective.
get out of the way. Hey, it's not my fault.
You could have squished him.
That's cold.
That's cold.
You go to the website, click Join Our LAN Party. You've got to register, and then you can download this special Desert Combat mod, because it is a special mod. We'll see you this Thursday at Screensavers LAN Party, powered by NVIDIA. Hey, more news. I love this. On the Novell challenge of the SCO's Unix claims at the bottom, the SCO guy, McBride, says, and if more people don't license our stuff, I'm going to sue Linus. I'm going to sue Linus Torvalds. That's what I'm going to do. Eric? Yeah. Talk about fighting words.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Talk about begging to have your entire website taken off the web forever.
Hey, let's go to Overland Park, Kansas. You want to?
I think we should.
I've always wanted to go there.
Who
Eric
are we going to see there?
is Eric on the Tech TV Netcam Network.
Hi,
Hello, Eric.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
I'm just doing great. How are y'all?
We're great. What can we do for you?
Well, I have recently built a new computer. I'm trying to experiment with Linux, but I can't find a distribution that will recognize the the onboard LAN and the onboard sound and all that good stuff on my motherboard.
You have a really new motherboard, don't you?
Right.
Yeah, I had the same problem. I had an Asus P4PE. And with the new IBM 840, Intel 845 chipset.
You just love tossing around those.
I love it.
Letter and number
Patrick,
combinations. Yeah.
Patrick, this is what happens when I take your advice on what motherboard to
Oh,
buy.
no.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Here's okay.
I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy with it. It just
What do you have? What motherboard do you have?
I feel your pain, Eric. Here's the thing, right? A motherboard comes out. If there's new features on it that require new drivers, somebody in the Linux community essentially has to write those drivers for it.
Right.
You build the operating system as you go along. So until enough people in the community have those drivers, or say NVIDIA sits down and goes, darn, I want all the Linux community to have those drivers, and releases the information they need, or outright creates the drivers, you're not going to have the Linux compatibility. I bet everything, basically, you can't find your LAN card, you can't find your audio, and I'm assuming you're using AGP graphics?
Right.
But you can find the AGP graphics because it's using a regular graphics card, right?
If I go to analog video, it's a nice ViewSonic flat screen.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I've been in the same situation. I used to trying to run Linux on a brand new notebook used to be really, really, really problematic.
It's always troublesome with new hardware. Which distros have you tried so far, Eric?
Red Hat 8.0,
Okay.
Mandrake 9.1, and I think
Those are pretty recent. In fact,
Yeah.
those are as recent as you can get.
Right.
I always go, before you install Linux, you want to go, I'm sure you did this, you go to the Red Hat site, go to the support area, look at the hardware compatibility list. That'll tell you what stuff they've got drivers for, and I'm sure you did, and you said, well, they don't support, what is it, an Enforce motherboard, is that?
Right.
Yeah.
It's the A7N8X.
Yeah. And so they don't support the Enforce yet. See, this is the thing, is that companies like NVIDIA develop for Windows first. That's where the big market is. Microsoft, is making it all work for Windows. But Linux, it's going to take somebody to come along and do it. So what did he find?
I found a nice French source that says they've worked on it.
Enforce 2 sous Linux. NVIDIA a mis en ligne la version de...
Sorry.
I was reading that. It's from hardware.france.
But they have a links to a Linux Enforce driver from.
Yeah, now it'll install, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't see your built-in stuff. Wait a minute.
Here we go.
What's his name? Kevin's waiting. There it is. He found the driver.
There we
Well,
go.
for the Enforce.
I have the Enforce 2,
Yes.
and I got it working with Linux.
And how did you do it?
I got Red Hat 9,
Yep.
and it still didn't work.
Yep.
And then I found an RPM. There's a nice little RPM that somebody prepackaged, and I just installed that RPM, and now the network card
Support
works.
for all of the things.
It all works. It all works fine now.
Sound and LAN and everything?
Yeah, everything works just fine.
Can you find that RPM again?
Yeah, I'll find the RPM.
And
We'll
give
put
us
it in
a
the
link?
show notes.
And maybe some newbie instructions for how to get Linux to install that?
Yeah, RPMs are really easy to install. It's just RPM space -I, isn't it? Install, and then the RPM name. So it's really easy to do. You reboot the computer, and then it'll recognize it all just fine.
Outstanding.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about somebody doing that is they bundled up all the drivers you need
Right,
in one
no
package.
compiling or anything.
Very simple.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thanks,
Hey,
guys.
Eric, thanks to Kevin. You know, he's an A+ certified
That's the lamest certification in the world.
CNA.
I don't even admit that anymore. That was like when I was like...
Well, it paid off today. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for the call, Eric, and I'm glad we could help. Don't go anywhere. You're going to miss a conversation with actor Seth Green from the... You know him. You'll recognize his face if you don't know his name. From the new movie, The Italian Job. And still to come, Never Get Lost Again. Patrick, yeah, I don't know. Patrick's going to show you his picks for the best inexpensive global positioning satellite systems.
GPS gadgets.
When the Screensavers continues. This is what I use.
He's so
Right there.
suave.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Leo Laporte.
And I'm Patrick Norton. And let's check in.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's check in.
With the fine folks at Tech Live.
There she is.
Michaela Pereira.
Hello.
Hello.
You realize I matched my scripts today. Look it.
Oh, you're blue.
That's
Isn't
so
that weird?
fabulous.
I do that on purpose sometimes.
Sometimes.
Patrick, you surf, don't you?
Very poorly, but with great enthusiasm.
Well, you're better than Leo and I, because I'm not sure Leo, you've ever surfed.
You know, I'm going to Mexico in 2 weeks, and I'm going to study surfing.
Good for you. It is a
Excellent.
bookish kind of thing you need to study.
Good for your soul.
We get 3 free lessons.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, anybody who has, and Patrick knows this probably all too well, anybody that's faced those breaks off the North Shore of Oahu knows it takes a real combination of talent and technology to tame Mother Nature when you're surfing those big waves. Riders need not just courage and the right equipment like surfboards that use aerospace technology, they also need some cojones, something serious. Tonight on Tech Live, we go to Mavericks, a mainland mecca for big wave riding, to prove why science and surfing are a good mix. Hang loose.
Did you mic that guy while he's surfing?
Not crazy.
That was the people on the boat.
No,
The guy
it
who's
wasn't the
surfing is
surfer.
going...
But you know, we did send Becky Worley out once on a surfboard,
Yeah.
and she had a microphone on, and needless to say,
We bleeped
only
quite
Becky
a
and the
bit.
surfboard made it back, not the microphone.
The microphone stayed in the ocean.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mick. Take care.
Have a good show.
That's what's coming up on Tech Live right after this television program. Let's talk GPS.
GPS. Global Positioning System, you probably think expensive, right?
Yeah, because they have been very expensive.
That's right. The first one I used was about the size of a shoebox. Cost
Right.
about $800, $900. Took
You
about
used it because
3 minutes to
you're
find itself.
a
Yeah.
sailor, and so that was.
Well, when you're in the ocean,
Yeah.
you either learn how to use the whole star thing, which is
Right.
really complicated and painful, especially if you can't do math like I am,
Right.
or you hit a button.
Right.
And you pray the electricity doesn't go out.
Now we're talking less expensive than $700.
How about a couple of really cool items for under 150?
I
Nay,
love that.
Under 120.
Wow.
Do you like that?
I love that. Now, well, the
Okay.
compass would be the first one.
Let's you just leave this alone. We'll talk about this later. Your favorite, actually, Leo's got a pretty
I
good
like
pick.
the Pharos.
Street Pilot 3.
Oh.
The Street Pilot
Oh, that's
Deluxe.
the one I use that I
That's
love.
the one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. The nice thing about this, it's in
900
full
bucks.
color. It sits on your dashboard. It'll talk you through your directions,
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
It's awesome.
Yes, and
It's
it did
also
a very good job.
awesomely expensive.
Yeah, it was
like
too much for me.
$800
I
to
didn't buy it.
$1,000 depending
Yeah.
on you buy it. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got something like this. The least expensive version of the Garmin's Gecko is about $100. This one's a little more expensive because you can connect it to an external power supply.
But it doesn't talk.
It doesn't talk. As a matter of fact, it doesn't really tell you that much, because if you have one of these, if you don't prepare for this, if you don't bring along maps of the right type, or if you don't set up waypoints along the way, what you end up is you go, I'm lost. And
I know exactly where I am.
I'm at 37 degrees, 45 minutes, 771 seconds
But
by
I'm
west
still
122. Yeah, you know exactly where you are, wherever that is. Okay, so
Right.
what you need is either do is you create waypoints with these. So, you go, okay, this is the exit on the highway. I'm going to hit here, and then
Right.
hit here when I make a left, and here, as you mark your plot. The Garmin has some interesting stuff there, where it'll set up so it'll track you as you go along.
But it only
major
knows where
turns.
you've been. It doesn't know where you're going.
Exactly.
So how does that help?
Well, here's what helps. What it does help is if you're wandering into some place, you
Yeah.
don't know where you're going.
You can always get out.
You can always get back out.
Okay.
Don't
It's like
laugh
dropping
at
breadcrumbs.
that. Yes,
I got it.
it's
All right.
exactly what it's doing. If you take a step up, right, you might think, well, I've got a map. I'm going to use my GPS with the map. Well, if you look at a map like this, it's a great map. This is actually from National Geographic does these, right? And it's got all the relief, and it tells you when you're heading into mountains and stuff.
Yeah.
Not going to help you with a GPS because it doesn't have latitude and longitude marked on it.
It's not high enough resolution, even if it did.
Well, actually, the resolution isn't a problem.
It's just that's not there.
Exactly. So if you go to something like this, about $20 for each state. Now, the Gazetteer is from Delorme, right?
Yeah.
If you open up and take a look at the inside of that, it divides the whole states into individual chunks of map. You can get like USGS maps,
and it
but
has longitude
these
and
actually
latitude?
have all the longitude and latitude marked on
And
them.
enough detail that you can figure out where you are.
Yeah, it often doesn't take much.
Right.
I mean, if you can figure out whether you need to go east or west,
Right.
that could be a huge help.
Yeah.
So you can actually track where you're sitting on there. That's where the compass comes in. Most GPSs
don't have
a compass built in unless you're actually moving. If you're moving, it'll tell you what direction you're tracking, right? So you end up sitting there.
You have to do a lot of.
You can look incredibly dumb, right? You're in the middle of nowhere, and you gotta like walk 20 feet.
So I know where I am.
So I know which direction. That's why you should always bring it. Even a cheap compass will tell you which direction you're facing.
Very valuable information.
I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's important.
So the key with an inexpensive GPS
Right.
is a good map and a compass.
Yeah, or at least have GPS coordinates. This is what magazine is this?
Not Newsweek.
It's not Newsweek. Four-wheel drive. They actually did a bunch of places to visit in the backcountry.
Oh, that's neat.
And I believe Utah, and they actually put a list of GPS coordinates so you know where you're heading to.
So really, when I pay $900 for the big Garmin, what I'm really paying for is the map database.
Exactly.
That's built into it.
And the ability to talk to you. Right. Now, take a look over here. For about $50 to $70, this is the EarthMate GPS from Delorme. They do amazing maps, and they also do they've been doing these. They originally
$50 to $70.
Yeah, but you have to connect it to a notebook.
Okay.
It's not too bad. Or they actually have cables now that'll connect it to handhelds.
Great. And this is USB?
This is USB. They're
great.
also coming out later this summer. They're coming out with a Bluetooth version of it, which I think will be the first Bluetooth item I'll ever actually be interested in.
Yeah.
So the
do
idea
I
is,
need to have special software for this?
you need to have some kind of software that'll read the information that this sends
It has
out.
to be GPS
So yeah,
enabled. Okay.
some of the best out there, the stuff I really like actually is from Delorme. It's a Street Atlas. They're up to version 2003. And what's nice about this is I can basically keep the entire map of the United States inside of my notebook.
So that's really a good marriage between an inexpensive GPS device and a notebook computer.
Yeah, and with the software, you're talking about spending maybe $120. And it's got some pretty, that's obviously, we are officially in the middle of Nevada somewhere.
Middle of nowhere is where we
But
are.
what it'll do is that when the GPS is turned on, and of course GPS won't work indoors, what it'll do is actually point. It'll have a big green arrow that is
You are here.
and what direction you're facing, and it'll track all that
I
information.
want to always know where I am. You are here should be everywhere.
It would be nice.
Yes.
And
That's
it
what
would
this
also be
does.
nice if it had a map to tell you where you want to go.
I just want to know where I am.
Well, in
You
which
are
case,
here.
This will
This is all
do
I-
just
you are here.
fine. You won't need the maps because you can now know you're at 3745-771. Leo, you are here.
I could just call somebody and say, I'm at 357740. Where do I go now?
Now, if you don't have a laptop, there are some in-between items, some less expensive or mapping GPS, right? There's basic GPS, which gives you the coordinates.
Right.
There's mapping GPS, which will actually have maps built into the device, the handheld.
But if you have a laptop, this sounds like the best way to go.
That's another one in between the GPS Map 76.
That has a built-in maps.
Yeah, it's about $300. It has a pretty good, has all the interstates, has some of the smaller highways. If you want to get really dense stuff like all of Los Angeles, you're going to have to load additional map information onto that from a computer.
They've really gotten a lot cheaper.
They've really gotten a lot cheaper. As little as $100 if you want to use it with external map sources. If you want to run it on your notebook, I really, really, really recommend Delorme's Street Map 2003 and the EarthMate. That's about $120.
I'm buying it now. That's
Links
great.
up on thescreensavers.com.
Of course, there's no Mac version, is there?
Well, not yet, but there. Yeah, we'll. You know what? I'll show you a map. I'll show you a Mac GPSing software later.
Folks, stay where you are next, because actor Seth Green is here to take on the role of Geek in his new movie. Look how geeky. He's always a geek. When the Italian Job, when the Screensavers continues. Geek, geek, geek. You may know him from Austin Powers. He's, Dr. Evil's kid. Or, of course, as the werewolf in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You may not know his name, but you sure know his face. I'm talking about Seth Green. His new movie, The Italian Job, hits theaters this Friday. The Screensavers entertainment correspondent, Jessica Corbin, had a chance to meet the young fellow while promoting the film.
Got the Holy Spirit.
So you play this kid, Lyle,
Yeah.
who's just a tech nut, a tech genius.
Yeah.
any sort of resemblance to him at all?
Yeah, we
for
look
you?
a lot alike.
You look a lot alike.
He's
yeah.
got darker hair than I do.
Do you know any like kids like Lyle that exist that just love to just hack and just screw stuff up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to give him a good voice. You know, I wanted to represent him.
Are you kidding me? How do you do that? What are you saying? Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Nice to meet you. I'm Handsome Rob. And you are?
Oh, my name's Becky, but it's written on my shirt.
Listen, I'm gonna need your shirt and your truck.
Perfect. I'll give them both to you. Would you?
It's so easy to relate to somebody that is on the outside, that doesn't fit in, that isn't like, you know, the leader or the main component of a group. And I like just trying to make that real and get people on his side.
Do you know that there's a PS2 game?
Yeah, I've been hearing that. I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it yet. You haven't played it. Are you into gaming at all?
I play, do you know that game Bust a Move? It's like a Japanese puzzle game. I play that with a friend of mine.
I thought that you had a couple tech projects in the works.
I was producing animation for a website. Yeah, but we weren't involved with the programming as much as we produced a show.
Concepts.
Yeah, we just straight linear content that was, you know, like a negative pickup, basically.
Okay. Do you have any questions for our gurus back at the homestead?
I have so few pieces of equipment, although I am going to get one of those MP3 players.
The iPods?
Yeah, because it holds like 4,000 songs.
For
and
real?
That to me is really useful.
Right, and you're always on the road, and it's...
Yeah, and I
you're
love
set.
music, so...
Right on. Okay, thank you so
Sure.
much.
He was a nice guy. He seemed like a really nice
He
guy.
was such a cool cat. Longest eyelashes ever.
Well, but it's proportional to his size because he's only this tall, right? So you know, if he were normal height, the eyelashes would be smaller.
Big personality totally makes up for it.
He's
yeah.
so good as Dr. Evil's kid.
Totally.
Did
yeah.
you have
and
tempted
he was
to go
awesome
zip
in this movie.
Zip it, zip, zip, zip.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, and he got very annoyed. He kicked me, and then I stopped.
He wanted the iPod. Seth, if you're watching, and I know he does watch all the time, 7,500 songs on the 30 gig iPod. Actually, one of these days we're going to review because now I've had it for a couple of weeks and I have some things good and some things bad to say about it. But this is it. This is the king of MP3 players. We should get Seth one.
Hey, yeah, you can go over to his house.
We got you something.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we got you something.
Yeah, you did.
We'll talk about that. And by the way, go to thescreensavers.com for at the show notes for more about Jessica's interview with
Good little interview.
that little guy, Seth Green. Now, it's time for the Corbin Report. The review based on practicality, because she's a practical gal. She's a busy woman, working on the show, doing celebrity interviews. She's got a stacked social schedule. She's now, turn the page. She is now here to tell us if the first gadget that she used, the Sanyo SCP-8100 camera phone, passed her tough, rigorous
which I just checked my
Is it in there?
pocket, and it's right over
Let me
there,
go get it
Justin.
for
if
you.
you can go get
I'll
that.
go
But
get the phone for you.
the criteria,
Yeah.
go get my phone.
Where's
Leo,
the phone? Oh, here it
The
is. Oh, I
criteria
got
was
it.
a rigorous one.
Yeah.
I courted this phone trying to see if it streamlined my life or just made it more complicated. Kind of like the first few dates with the dude, you know? He's seeing if he fits into your life.
Somebody's
there he
calling
is.
you.
Oh, see, you guys are always on it. So this phone, it retails for about $200, but there's a $100 rebate for new lines of service. And the Sprint plans, which you have, they start around $35, and they can go anywhere up to $150 a month. But you have, answer it. You can feel free to answer. I have. But you have Sprint service, and you like it, yeah?
Yeah, I like the Sprint service. We'll talk about one of the things neither of us like about the Sprint
we'll
service.
get to that. But let's hit the highlights, the positives. The biggest positive in my eyes was this camera option. You guys, this camera option rocked. I would show you, but you guys keep calling, so I can't
Well,
show you.
Go ahead. That's okay, because once you start doing it, it turns off the phone.
Okay, so I can take pictures instantly, email them to anyone, create voice tags, and create albums to send them to people. So the online component rocks.
This uploads
I can manage
into the,
everything
It's on the
online.
website. Now,
Yeah.
this is an actual picture.
Okay, so
on
let's
the
take you to the website. Check
Yeah.
it out. On the website, you see
that
it right
Morgan?
here. Yeah, so what I did is just on my
put a
phone,
frame on it?
I can put a frame on it and then snap a picture of my beautiful Morgan friend here.
What do you think of the quality of these pictures?
I really enjoyed the
You were
quality.
surprised at the...
Now, you can't move the camera. Like, if I took a picture of you, right?
Yeah.
I can't move it or
No,
else it blurs.
hold it very steady.
Right, you have to hold
Yeah.
it super still. But, like, if you hold it super still and you upload it to the website, these pictures, they come off relatively sweet.
No, I also like the ringtones. In fact, I'm calling you right now. You've assigned a ringtone. Look at this cute picture of you and your friend.
Yeah, I assigned a ringtone to you, which is also really cool.
Oh, you know what? You've got it on vibrate.
Oh, here. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very easy phone to manage. Okay? Very easy.
So should I call you again?
Yeah, you're going to want to call me again.
All right. So
Hold
we get the
on. There we go.
ringtone.
Yep.
See, I have a nice ringtone assigned to you. It's a pretty little song.
So these ringtones that you do download, though, they do cost you. They're not free, but I gave, of course, I'm looking out for you guys, I attached a bunch of free downloadable sites where you can get free ringtones.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, up to the website.
Yeah,
so
it's a little annoying. It's like you pay $1 and you only keep it for like a month or two,
Yeah.
and then they want it back. Okay, so I'm calling now. This is cool because you got my picture associated with. It's still just vibrating though.
Interesting.
Yeah, wait a minute. Do we have to turn it up?
Oh, you guys have got to check it out. I put a real pungent ringtone.
Maybe we shouldn't play it on television.
Okay. Okay, so
How pungent
the online
is it?
component, again, like I said, is really cool. You know, it can serve basically as your Palm software, and you can Photoshop all your pictures online too, and you can email them off to your family and friends. I'm very close to my family, and so it kind of keeps us interconnected. So that's really cool. Now the negatives. You ready to move on to the negatives?
Yeah, I'll go along with you on these negatives.
Negatives, text messaging.
That's Sprint. I think this is Sprint wide.
Sucks.
It's not just this phone.
I know.
You have to go on the web to get your SMS messages.
Yeah.
Which means that you're going to spend a while it's going, you keep getting calls from people like me, but it's not.
That's very interesting. Did
playing
you try
this
to
song.
figure it out?
Call me.
So this might be a drawback.
Call me.
Sometimes, okay, now call me.
What other
we'll try
negatives
one
did
more
you
time.
have?
Okay, and then so it takes about 30 to 45 seconds every time you want to receive a text message. No bueno, no good. So I have like Singular service right now on my other phone.
Yeah.
That is instant. I like that. So this is kind of problematic.
I think that's a big
This
drawback.
is kind of problematic.
I don't use SMS on a Sprint.
Also, some of the downloads, they only last 1 month.
Okay, let's try one more time. I'm calling you
Go ahead.
again. Is it
Okay.
going to buzz or is it
I don't
going
know.
to is it going to
So
make
in
the sound?
short, this camera will work for people like me on the go that love to document their life.
That's the ringtone? That is so rude. I have a nice little song for you.
Did I tell you that this phone also serves as a whoopee cushion? Okay, so for a full review and written report, go to thescreensavers.com, click on the Corbin Report, and remember I give you sites where you can get free ringtones. And if there's a product out there that you want me to test, email me at jessica@techtv.com.
This is your ringtone.
It's happy, spunky.
Hey, stay tuned. Coming up next, find out how your web access can be, wireless access can be shared via dial-up.
Yeah.
We'll give you this present tomorrow. This is your next item.
Okay.
Tomorrow on the
I
Screen
gotta wait
Savers.
for my gift.
You got horses. Welcome back to the Screensavers. You know, I realize we have to give Jessica her gift because she's got a week to do it. She's got to go Wednesday to Wednesday. So for the next Corbin Report, you did the phone last week. This is it.
Is this
Purple.
gonna be hard?
Go ahead, open it up. It's heavy, isn't it? This is what she's going to have a week to review this.
Oh, Lordy.
Oh, baby.
And I'm not a Mac user, so this is going to be
You're not a
interesting.
Mac user?
No.
All right, PowerBook G4.
But I will put it to the test.
All right, and you report on the web and you report back here and tell us what you think. 1 week to give us your review, the practical review of the PowerBook G4 12-inch. Stay where you are, folks. We're going to discover what's on your mind as we check our inbox. A final word with the Screensavers right after this. You're welcome, dude. That should be fun. You're going to have fun with that. Welcome back to the Screensavers. We want to make one correction. We were talking about the Indianapolis 500 and its
Yesterday.
incredible safety record, which it stands absolutely, but we were corrected by a number of viewers. We said there hadn't been an accident in 30 years. We meant to say there hadn't been a
death.
Rather a death in 30 years. There hadn't been a death during the Indianapolis 500 race.
Itself.
In fact, since 1964. But there unfortunately have been some fatalities on the track during practice rounds and at other times. In fact, Steve Brayton, I think, was the last fatality. That was, though, a long time ago, 1996. So an excellent safety record.
1966.
No, it's 96 for the practice round death, yeah.
Got it.
So we apologize. I hope that stands corrected. And also, we want to get a price fix.
$100 for the DeLorme EarthMate, $120 with the software. The software itself, the Street Atlas 2003 sells for $50.
Still a great
deal.
really great deal. I can't believe we're out of time.
That's it for this edition of the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Leo Laporte. I'm going to see you tomorrow, 3 p.m. on Call for Help, and I want to thank you for being with us today. Our guests, Robert Moore and Seth Green, were fab-boo, and so were you. You come back and join us tomorrow night. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.